Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is once again Friday night on the bus. We're back. And of course, it being Friday, I know what that means. Liam knows what that means. But most of all, you know what that means. It's time for that Friday feeling, folks, on the bus. So welcome along. If you've chosen us on this fine Friday evening, we've got a lot to get through, as you can see this week. We've had a busy few Fridays, to say the least, Liam, with multiple people on. But this week, it's just the two of us, mate. As Will Smith said, we can make it if we try. But yes, we've got a lot to get through this evening. But how are you doing, sir? Canada's favourite Tim, the wise man of the bus, ready to drop some knowledge on us tonight, my man, as usual?
Aye, doing all good, doing well, I hated having a week off. It just kills, it just upsets my entire rhythm, of like how I sleep, everything, So still got up early and watched, some other games and that as well. But aye, good. Canada's other favourite Tim. We can talk about him later.
Aye,
too well.
yeah, he had a bit of a sketchy one the other night. It was a bit of an up and down performance, but yeah, that's one of the many things on the agenda tonight. We'll have our say on the Aston Villa game. We'll be looking ahead tomorrow. From Motherwell to Munich, there's a contrast if ever there was one. Apologies if you live in Motherwell. But yes, it's we'll be talking about the Champions League draw today because we got Bayern Munich. Obviously, there's been a news story as well tonight that we fans will not be allowed to travel. Naughty. A wee misdemeanor on Wednesday night. We got another slap on the wrists for it. And sadly, one person's actions has resulted in thousands of people being deprived of a trip of a lifetime to Munich. So we're talking about that. More transfer chat as well. We talk about some injury worries. Turns out it's not all bad. There's a few concerns. But again, always addressed by Brendan Rodgers today. So yeah, a lot to get through. And of course, it is our captain's 500th game this coming Sunday. So we'll definitely be talking about Callum McGregor at some point tonight and talk about some of our favourite memories of Calmac. But 500 games, geez, mental. Almost as many Friday feeling episodes as we've done. He's catching up. He's getting close to his Liam. But before, of course, we do any more of that, remember to do all that good stuff, folks. Remember to hit the like button. Helps again out in the old algorithms on YouTube. Gets the bus recommended on these busy Friday nights and people's YouTube recommendations. Of course, you can get involved in our comment section tonight. So let's have a look and see who is in this evening. Of course, Friday night, he's part of the show now. Graham Tyrrell's in the chat. So, of course, he's here. Joe Hendry, Jim C, Jim Dolan, Chill Pill, Smell the Glove, Ian McIntosh. Who else have we got? Ronnie Pickering. Who? Hey. Yeah, Ronnie Pickering is in as well. So yeah, all the favourites obviously in the final, all the hits are in, all killer and no filler. What else can you do? Hit the subscribe button. We've passed the 5,000 mark, but there's always another landmark just down the road, folks. So help us get to that next landmark, which whatever that will be. And of course, you can still share the link of the Boise Bus far and wide. On whatever social media platform tickles your fancy, and of course you can head over to piesports.com and use that code BUS1888 and you'll get 12.5% off all your pies and other pastry treats. And before I forget, yes, there is a player teaser again. Liam, would you like to get the brain stimulated early on? A wee brain teaser. Okay, so this player has got a career with just 4 clubs, just 4, and there's actually a connection because he's played for Celtic, Middlesbrough, Bristol City, and our opponents on Sunday, Motherwell. So that's this player's career. So again, if you know the answer, Liam, don't shout it out just now. We'll come back to that one at the end. Because Celtic, Borough, Bristol City, and Motherwell. So that is the mystery player hidden behind the Boise Bus logo this evening. And yeah, with all that said and done, yeah, let's get into it. So Liam, Bayern Munich, piece of cake, yeah. As Brendan Rodgers said at the start of his presser today, yeah, we got the easy one, eh? It was a bit of a roller coaster on Wednesday. Obviously, we went down there. Some fans saw it as a free hit. I was definitely in that case. I was like, look, we've earned the right to just go and have fun, essentially. This is like, there's no expectation on us. We'll just go down there. We'll try and give them a fright, make them work for it. You never know. We might get something. And of course, watching the live league table as well, I had one eye on that on Wednesday night, and I kept putting the Boise Bus group chat going, right, at this point in time, this is what we filled up with. It just kept chopping and changing. But as we started to get near the end, it was becoming more and more clear the way the results were going. They weren't going to change now. And it was like, it's Real Madrid or Bayern Munich coming up. It's good. I think doing the maths, looking at the table, I think had Celtic snatched a draw or kept it at 2-2 or got a free each draw, I think it would have put us into a section we might have got Paris Saint-Germain. So it's like, well, could it have been much better? I don't really know. But how are you feeling generally about Bayern Munich, first of all, out of the two choices that we had?
I mean, it's... I don't fancy seeing what our back line would look like against Mbappe and Vinicius Junior. And, what you call him, the
Bellingham,
the English boy Bellingham. He absolutely roast us. However, Bayern Munich, I mean, Harry Kane. Harry Kane loved the goal in Scotland. So,
true.
I'd be quite wary about our... And again, all the questions come down to, I'm not thinking about our forwards against what they have. I'm thinking about our defence, because I think our defence has been neglected. We need an overhaul right now, because we're building our team around one guy that, is starting to miss more Champions League games than he plays. So I think we need to address that sort of thing. So, I love a big game. I like to see Bayern Munich, but I don't want to become a football tourist. I don't like this attitude of just showing up and we're just happy to be in the next round and then it's another 3-1. I mean, that's so far away from the Jock Stein days, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. That is, yeah.
That's not the ethos of our club. I mean, we write books, sing songs, print tea towels and fancy scarves. Some of the manifestos of our club on it. And that was always the jersey wouldn't shrink, and we're always there to win. You're always there to win. And anyway, this football tourism thing just showing up and all that. That's it's a wee bit. You're noticing it,
Mm. Yeah, it's I don't see any way around. I will love to believe that in 2 weeks, because that's how quickly this game is coming around. It's 2 weeks away, the first leg, February the 12th. So yeah, we've got Dundee next midweek, and then the midweek after that we've got Bayern Munich, and then the 2 weeks after that we've got the second leg. So it's a quick turnaround here. So we're going to have to be in some top form over the next few weeks to be ready for this, because Bayern Munich top of the Bundesliga. I forgot that Vincent Kompany was our manager, and in fairness, I was like, Vincent Kompany, I didn't really rate him that highly as a manager, regardless. So he's still got an unbelievable squad at his disposal, and that's maybe all he needs. So you say Harry Kane, Leroy Sané, Jamal Musiala. We saw him in the Euros taking Scotland apart with the German team. They still get guys like Joshua Kimmich, and even old heads like Thomas Müller is still a danger. You've got guys like that. So yeah, just one of these. We'll just need to give it our best shot. I know what you mean about we're just happy to be here type of thing, but there's no denying, though, that we have seen some progress. There's no doubt, but compared to the last few years in the Champions League, you can't deny, though, what we've achieved. And despite folks, what fans of certain other clubs are going on about the draw and how we played 3 of the teams that finished in the bottom 4. I mean, I don't know why they're so angry about the fixture list. Remember, the fixture list was done via a supercomputer. Remember, Cristiano Ronaldo had to press a big button and then it just fired out the fixtures one after the other. But the way they've been talking, it's like, is the computer at UEFA headquarters in on the big conspiracy? Did Peter Lawwell rig the machine or something like that? Like, what do they want? It's no Celtic's problem that we had to play Young Boys of Bern and Slovan Bratislava and RB Leipzig, who, let's be honest, right, that is an uncharacteristic campaign for them. Their first 6 fixtures were against Inter, Liverpool. I think they played Aston Villa as well. They had a ridiculous fixture list, and that's just the luck of the draw. Celtic happened to get a good fixture list from our standards. Next year we could be in the Champions League, and we might not get that list again. It's all just going to be the luck of the draw. But this weird narrative for that lot, the way they've been harping on social media the last few days. But I mean, Celtic had it easy. They played the bottom 3 teams. Not Celtic's problem. Not our bloody problem. But yeah, we've made it through. I say progress, definitely. These are games that we could have lost quite easily in previous years. But in general, Wednesday night, coming away from it, were you pleasantly surprised, especially after we went 2-0 down so early? Were you? Because I know that I was getting the old Celtic doing Celtic things bingo card out, Liam, and I was like, 2 quick-fire goals, check. 2 easily avoidable goals, check. It was just like, what's next? A red card, a penalty, what's still to come. But fair play, we rallied, we didn't panic, and we gave them a fright. And at that stage, when we were 2-0 down, I was like, just don't make it a Dortmund game. Just don't make it another Dortmund type performance. I want to at least make them work for it here. And yeah, coming away from it, I think we definitely gave them a scare and definitely made them work for it, mate.
Well, they had to work for it as well, but my God, they made Kasper Schmeichel work for it. That's one of the best, despite, 4 goals. I thought he played absolutely out of his skin. I thought what you were seeing there, we were seeing a keeper that was at absolutely top of the game. And I think if it wasn't for him, he kept it respectable. I mean, he did get himself in trouble a couple of times as well, but, there's an awful lot ball getting passed backwards to him as well, where he was looking to bail it out. And you could see he just reverted to launching it at one point because it was happening so much. And the players, from Aston Villa had a great sense of movement about them in that midfield that our squad couldn't cope with. Enjoyed the game because I thought, as we said last week, I've seen everything about Ida. I wanted to see the way he celebrated the goal last week. Yeah. And then to see him he didn't celebrate the 2 goals that were absolute crackers the same way he celebrated the one that bounced off the guy's chest. And then that tells you a lot about the boy as well, right? So I like to see that. I'm hoping, okay, that's that's what we need just to get him going. But we should talk about this later. Hope shouldn't come into it at this point, in this stage, and at being Celtic and all. We shouldn't be hoping for things. So, but my God, it did show us up where we're weak. I thought Alistair Johnson, we don't see him attacked enough when he plays in the Scottish League. But I see him when he plays for Canada. And he's always had a problem when somebody basically runs at him from the top corner of the box. I mean, he actually took 2 steps forward before he started running when that guy was already away with the ball. Yeah. And couldn't help himself either because there was a man lying out wide the entire time. And that's something our defence are doing. We're getting drawn all over the place. And we're rushing from man to man. We need to have a better shape when it comes to these sort of things. And that means our wingers dropping back. I thought Yang was really negligent as well. There's one time in the second half, or it was the first half, and where he lost the ball, but he took this 20-yard loopy run to come back out of their box and track back, where it should have been heels doing shift, get your body moving, get that ball, not this adding a 20-yard arc onto your run. And to me, that's laziness. That's just you've lost the ball. It's no tactical mindset. Get it back. Yep. I think we're losing some of that. We certainly lose it when Yang comes on. Maeda's got it. Jota will have it. But that shows you everything you need about Yang. And it just showed up the players that that shouldn't be getting a game at that level. And we were depleted. We were missing players. But they had a really good player go off early that was causing us all sorts of troubles.
John, I was going to say, did you not find it really funny how Matty Cash, it was the right back,
player.
He was tormenting us down that side, and then he went off. McGinn came on. Did you laugh as much as I did? The game just changed on a whim when John McGinn came on in our favour. Of course, he was involved in our first goal, accidentally, albeit. But I have to say this, Liam, can I shock you? Can I shock you right now with an early mention for him? Fair play to Greg Taylor on the first goal, getting to the byline and getting a cross in. It's like, you don't do that enough, Greg Taylor. He did get in there. He got a cross in. Okay, John McGinn did scuff it right into Ida's path. But it's like, our fullbacks, we've talked for years about our fullbacks getting forward, getting crosses in. They hit the byline more than our wingers at times. But he doesn't seem to do that. But Jesus Christ, he got himself in a good bit of space. And as soon as he was in there, I was like, get to the byline and get a cross in. Don't cut inside. Don't pass it inside. He did hit the byline. And he did get the cross in. And yes, Graham Tyrrell, I'm the one that got the klaxon this week. I'm the first one to mention him. Yeah, but fair play, Greg Taylor, he got there. He did what I would like to see our fullbacks do. Get in there and get a cross into the box for a big guy like Ida. And it was a great finish from him. No doubt about it, because it came to him so suddenly because of that deflection off of John McGinn. he had to react really quickly, and it was a tidy finish. But yeah, overall, like I was like, it is what it is. You know, I was happy enough that we didn't get turned over like 7-1. Yeah, there is an argument that the second half was quite one-way traffic. No, let's be honest here. But Kasper Schmeichel, you say, did keep the score down. And yeah, we were depleted. So, you know, the players that came on kind of showed that. Obviously, Dane Murray is what it is, you know, with Dane. He obviously made that mistake at the end. But yeah, I mean, realistically, in the second half, we were pretty much defending on our 18-yard line. The best chance we had was Hatate having a pot shot from like 25 yards, which, in fairness, I was nearly out my seat when that left his foot, because that looked like that was fine in the back of the net, that one. But yeah, it was quite one-way traffic. But hey, you know, they did come away from it going, geez, oh man, these Scottish teams they're not too bad. So it gave them some food for thought. But yeah, as I say, now we've got Bayern Munich coming up, and obviously the story tonight, Liam, after the first goal that we scored, obviously a fan took it upon themselves to throw a flare onto the park. And turns out UEFA had obviously reprimanded the club previously for such things and told them if it happens again within the next 2 years, then you will not be allowed to sell away tickets to your fans in the next away game, which happens to be Bayern Munich now. And yeah, the actions of one person has cost thousands a hell of a trip here, Liam. So it's not a good one, not a good look, is it, mate?
No, I mean, I'm sure. I mean, it's so they have them in North America, and it's never a problem. But nobody's flinging them on the pitch and all that. But what they do have over here is they have designated areas for them.
Yeah.
And the people come down there and they light them, and it's sort of controlled and it's put away and things like that. And because otherwise, it's the only way the insurance over here would let it happen. Because Canada and USA, we're all about liability and suing people and stuff like that. And so, and rightfully so as well. I mean, it's like there's, the things that happen in stadiums and all that. They do have to look after your well-being and stuff. So I don't know. You just wonder. I mean, first of all, yeah, the guy's an idiot. Guy's an idiot flinging on the park. What are you doing? You're not bringing anything to the atmosphere. Nobody goes to a football game to say, "Oh, I hope it's going to be flares there." It's like, and it looks good in some of the photographs and all that. Always does, but the rest of the stuff outweighs any of the benefits. It's nothing worse than having somebody flinging a flare away and it's still lit and it's not, they can't even throw it properly and it's hitting people in the back and things and they're having to deal with it. Yeah, I don't think they belong at football. It's me being a Celtic dad, an old guy. I don't.
Smell the gloves, says Graham. Greg Taylor through the flare.
See if you're going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there any creative solutions that we can have? Can we get water cannons? Like maybe rent a couple after the WEF or what's going on right now in the world. We can station up a couple of water cannons. It just sort of maybe rides around in a golf cart. It's just high pressure. Bang, right away you're knocking the flares out, That could be fun as well, Watch that. I'd watch that on YouTube. Yeah, and then, you look at the way people have dealt with graffiti, so it's like, like when I go to Bulgaria and Plovdiv, wow, the graffiti was everywhere, and then they just made it a thing. It's like, all right, we can't beat it. So how do we make it better and safer? And, they declare designated graffiti zones and things like that. I mean, you could try and do that with flares so that, okay, here's your ultra section and all that, and you make a wee thing at the front where they come in and do all the flares, and it's that way. But, you can create drinking areas and people are still going to try and smuggle booze in and all that and do their own thing. But, yeah, I don't know. I think it's a solution that we need to start hoping and looking at. But also as well, I mean, UEFA coming down hard on teams for stuff like that and then missing other obvious sanctions where other teams are behaving poorly and going into towns. And, like you look at the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans and stuff that ripped up Amsterdam in the last round. So, there's a lot of shit and, you always seem to evade any sort of sanctions and things like that. And there's all sorts of behaviour. I've watched football all through Eastern Europe and it's like flares. Some stands as Nazi symbols and everything, So, I don't know. UEFA are very select in who they want to punish and all that. And we know that we've always been on their watch list just for our vocal and disapproval to some of the shit that's going on in the world. So yeah. Fuck UEFA.
Well, it's one of those nights. I know every so often on Friday nights we'll have like a theme run in the chat, people coming in with puns and plays on words and stuff like that. So Jim C says, Flair, did you get your trousers? So that's one. Monty comes in and says, to ban the fans going to Munich is not Flair. So
Brilliant.
few of them coming in, but let's see. Flair's went out in the 70s, man. Yes, indeed. Charles Smith. Flair's on jeans only at games. Yep.
Well, maybe we need a Boise Bus campaign to just sort of bring awareness to the situation and start a poster campaign, or we'll spell it out in flares in the front, on the way into the stadium, just to be ironic.
But it's going to be one of the nights. People are going to be coming in with all sorts of puns. But yeah, it's something that we've been told. I mean, me personally, I do see the spectacle. And see when the Green Brigade have got like all the little, they spell something out. Like they did it at Hampden this year against Aberdeen with the CFC, and they had like drone footage over the stadium, and it does look excellent. I understand the danger of it and whatnot, and I get it. So if the club and the governing body have told you don't do it, this is what could happen, then maybe this will be a watershed moment. Maybe this will be, but it's happened now. I think Celtic said earlier on they were going to obviously try and appeal it and whatnot, but I think something came out about an hour ago before we went on that I think the decision's final. So although that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few Celtic fans that find their way into the Allianz Arena in a few weeks' time. There'll be a few pockets of Celtic fans I think will find a way. There'll be a pilgrimage to Munich, no doubt about it, by certain folks. So yeah, I would be said there will be some cluster that will get in somewhere. But yeah, it says what it is. But I know a few people who go to a lot of European away games, and they're obviously gutted right now because they get their tickets through their supporters clubs and whatnot. So yeah, they're up in the air right now. What's going to happen? But yeah, thankfully, I'd say thankfully, there's nothing thankful about it. But at least people haven't went and already paid for their trip and then get told this, because that could have been really really bad in that case. But no, they've seemed like they dealt with it, and yeah, hopefully this is the last time that happens and we don't have a repeat performance, because we need the fans in the stadiums. We need them when these European nights. We're all talking about the Celtic fans and the atmosphere they bring. The other night, Rodgers, after scoring his hat trick against us for Aston Villa, he says, in his post-match interview with Aston Villa's own channel, saying that Celtic fans, the away end, that's the best away end I've ever seen at Villa Park. Says when they scored their equaliser, says that's one of the loudest away ends I've ever heard. He was absolutely in awe of it. And I know it kind of falls into that whole thing we talk about Celtic Park, where they're like, oh, what an experience. But that was an away performance. The fans went down there and they made themselves heard, and if we are a game against Bayern Munich coming up, then geez, we're going to need it. But
our away fans are always amazing. The one that always sticks out for me is the game against Lazio. When we were in Rome, I was watching that in Bulgaria with a bunch of Italians, and they were all Roma fans, and that's their cheer for us, right? And and like just that whole Bella Ciao through the entire game and all that, just absolutely amazing. Our support can always be heard aloud. You always see us ringing through the arena, and that's, I think, one of these. So are we definitely banned fans for the next game? Is that happening?
I believe it is. Yeah, somebody in one of the many group chats I'm in said I think it's been put out in the last hour that is happening. But again, there could be another twist in the tail. But if there's going to be, it has to be quick, because the game is only in a couple of weeks. People need to get booked up for going over. So I don't know if they'll come to an agreement. I doubt it. UEFA, they're going to make an example of Celtic here, I think. So,
well, I mean, you're setting up a terrible precedent for like one singular action shutting down travelling support, and that affects commerce, and that affects media, and that affects all the sort of stuff that UEFA try to build as a brand and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, that sort of stuff is they're cutting off their own hand by that. They're diminishing the product themselves, and the advertisers will not be happy with that.
No, definitely. But I think as a UEFA, we're talking about them being selective. I've mentioned this before, but the one that always gets me, and again, FIFA are the same. FIFA, UEFA, they're the two cheeks of the same arse, essentially, aren't they? And when you've seen it on internationals, particularly Eastern European countries like Serbia and Russia and all that, there's always a real racist element in the fans, and you'll always, every so often, you'll get like stories of like England go to play Serbia away or something like that, and there's talk of like the black players getting abused from the stands, like Raheem Sterling and stuff like that over the years. So then it's always a case of, well, surely a points deduction or kick them out of the tournament, and they never do it. I mean, it's usually just like a fine for the FA of whatever country. And I think the reason why they do it that way is because they know that all the countries, like England and Italy and stuff like that, and Spain have got a racist element too. So if they make an example of, say, Albania or something like that, then they've got to do the same for the big nations. But UEFA want the big nations to be playing at their tournaments to bring more prestige. They wouldn't dare throw Spain out of the tournament or an Italy out of the tournament when they've got a bit of a hardcore element and undercurrent there as well. So it's like they are very selective again, and it's all about money. That's it. It's all about money, mate.
Oh, I mean, that's what it comes to. And Spain's one of the worst. You know, I remember when I used to really like watching Barcelona when Samuel Eto'o was their striker. The amount of abuse that boy got was unbelievable. You know, he tears in the side of the pitch at one time where they were trying to convince him to stay in the park. And that's not the first player you've seen in Spain that's had to put up with that sort of absolute caveman bullshit. You know, Eastern European gets a bad rap for it, but no, I think it's
Vinicius Junior is a more recent one, isn't it? Vinicius Junior at Real Madrid. Vinicius Junior at Real Madrid's been a recent one. Like, I think it was Valencia. The Valencia fans were absolutely giving him all sorts of racist abuse, and he complained and got sent off for it. Like, what? Oh, honestly, man. So yeah, that's what I feel with as a UEFA, where in FIFA the same. They won't punish these smaller nations because they know if they do, they set a precedent. So when there's incidents with countries like Spain, Italy, England, you know, it's like, well, we need to make an example of them as well. And they won't do that because those teams bring big fan bases, they bring money and prestige to their tournaments. So it is very selective at times for one player getting thrown on the park. Let's say, hopefully this is a watershed moment and we don't have a similar incident again. And, you know, because the next time they punish us, if it happens again, it'll be more than one game. It may be a home game as well. Geez, and that doesn't bear thinking about. You know, Celtic Park empty. That brings back too many bad memories of just a few years ago. We don't want to be playing games in an empty Celtic Park again. But yeah, we'll move on then from that and let's start to talk about some of the transfer dealings. Liam, I don't understand what's going on with this Kieran Tierney stuff. Obviously, he's signed the pre-contract. It's official. He will be a Celtic player in the summer. I said on Tuesday night when talking to David and talking to Regan, I find it kind of ironic in a way that for the last 2 and a bit years, Mikel Arteta has made it quite clear that Kieran Tierney is not part of his plans. He loaned him out last season to Real Sociedad. Pretty much has told him that he's got no future at the club. But now, out of nowhere, he's using him left, right and centre. He's giving him game time. And it's like, wow, just when somebody's finally interested in him, he's finally using them. Now, maybe it's just the stars have aligned and they've got a left-back problem right now and they just need to keep him around. But it seems like, going by Brendan Rodgers' tone tonight when he was put on the spot again about it, he cut a very dejected tone where it was a sort of, yeah, I guess he's going to be, but he's not coming to the summer, which isn't ideal for us. I mean, if he stays at Arsenal, they've kept him for cover and he only plays like half an hour's worth of football in the next 5 months. That ain't good because, as we know, Kieran Tierney, sketchy injury history to say the least. The key for him is to keep him match fit so he's ready and raring to go in the summer for us because, again, Champions League qualifiers we've got to get through. And yeah, there's a chance that he might, just be kept at Arsenal and then not even play a single minute from now to the end of the season, the way things can go for him. So unless there's a dramatic twist at the end on Monday night, will Celtic still make a go of it? Are Celtic actually do it? Because Fabrizio Romano seemed to cryptically tweet that it's happening. While other news outlets at the same time were saying, no, he's staying at Arsenal at the end of the season. Fabrizio was right out there with the sort of, with the wee check mark soon, the wee soon logo, the green and white. And it's like, what does he know? Who knows? He's meant to be the guru of transfers, isn't he? So we need a left back. Bottom line is we've let Valier go. Well, the loan deal's been cancelled. Barcelona have cancelled him, sent him off to Como. So we're down to one left back right now. Is it going to be Liam Scales as the alternative left back from now to the end of the season? I mean, Brendan Rodgers did say just a few weeks ago, Liam, before the Kilmarnock game in his presser, when he was asked initially about the Valier deal, and the reporter asked him, you don't want to go through the second half of the season a player light in that position, do you? And Brendan Rodgers said that definitely will not happen. But here we are, staring down the barrel, unless the Kieran Tierney thing is all a ruse and he does turn up late on Monday night, or they have something lined up. But realistically, probably a loan from somebody else to the end of the season who might not be here next season anyway. So I don't know. I mean, if they can get a deal for somebody with an option of we can keep him, then maybe that's better, because obviously your favourite player, he ain't committed yet. He ain't signed any new deals. So we're expecting he won't be here next season as well. So the left back, honestly, the left back area, it's just a big red flag right now. What the hell is going on, Liam?
I mean, it's a red flag for our recruitment, and Rodgers more than anything. We've known this. We've known that we've needed somebody in that position for the last 18 months. And, you know, going back to the Tierney thing right now, I mean, my God, the whole thing about getting Tierney and signing him in the summer, it's like being absolutely starving and somebody gives you a packet of seeds. Oh, that'll be great once it grows, you know. In 6 months, you'll be delicious, you know. That's the way it looks like with Tierney coming in. It's like we need somebody to come in and help now. If not, then it's like, then that Bayern Munich game does just look like we're going there for a holiday and a laugh. I want to go with the intent to win or draw, but make it difficult for them. And that means recruiting and having the best possible players that we need. The other thing as well, we know you said that Kieran Tierney's injury prone, or, you know, he's had a few bad injuries. I don't know if he's prone in sort of way. But if he comes to our squad, I would rather know what I'm getting and getting a fit Kieran Tierney than having a pre-contract with a player that's known for, you know, like fitness issues, and having him playing in another league and then coming to us damaged goods. I don't see how you can make a contract like that with a player like Tierney, knowing his injury record, letting him play for 6 months with another club, and again coming in cold, overplaying, whatever the situation ends up. I don't know. I just don't see how that benefits in that way. That doesn't seem to be like this cunning, tactical, shrewd, strategic move that, you know, our board keeps patting themselves on the back for. Because I think it turns something like that into a total gamble. Because again, he could get injured, and that means like, okay, we're going into Champions League qualifications, looking for another left back.
Yeah,
you know, with Greg Taylor being away, and even with Greg Taylor in there, he still should be looking for another like left back, because he doesn't play well in Champions League or against any pressure or big guys or fast guys or talented guys. Or I don't know. I've seen him against the guy. He was probably good there. But
well, there has been a name that has been doing the rounds, and again, it just reeks of a sticky plaster until the end of the season. I don't know if there'll be a chance to make this one permanent, but I know that Ian McIntosh has said that we're linked with the left back from Man United, Tyrell Malacia, a Dutch left back that Erik ten Hag brought in the last couple of years. He's kind of been sort of on the periphery at Man U. He's had games here and there. Had a few injury problems as well. Found himself on the out. So I know that his name's been doing the rounds. But again, it's like, if he's only coming in for a 6-month spell with no real, you know, chance of staying, or Man U just send him out in the summer again. So what's his commitment going to really be? How motivated is he going to be? I think if there's a chance that, because again, you're right, we might need 2 left backs. Tierney comes in the summer, guaranteed, great. But then Greg Taylor leaves on a free because his contract runs down. And yeah, so if Malacia was the alternative, then if he comes in and plays well, and there's an option to buy him at the end of the season, and you've got Tierney coming in, then I'm more in favour of that. But I just feel like at this stage, it may be it'll just be a late thing, you know, like, because last year, obviously, we brought in Adam Eder on loan. That was initially no option to buy. It worked out in the end, and we had to obviously jump through a hell of a lot of hoops for Norwich City to get the deal done and pay a hell of a lot of money for it in the end. But yeah, I would like to think that if they are going down the route of a loan for somebody at this stage, that they are shrewd enough to at least put an option in there that if it works out and the players, you know, were able to come to an agreement, get a fee agreed now for a future transfer. Because, yeah, I just feel that we're walking in here to, yeah, it'll be great when Tierney's back. We'll all celebrate it. We'll all love it. But I don't think he's going to play much football in the next 6 months. So he's going to need a hell of a pre-season to get up to scratch. And yeah, we might be another left back down because Greg Taylor will have left the building as it stands. So to me, Liam, it makes sense to try and get that, fee agreed if we are looking at a loan deal just now, mate.
Oh, either that or bring somebody else in. We obviously our B team is providing absolutely nothing. I mean, look at the two boys they brought on. I mean, unfair to bring them on from the Champions League match when you're 2-2. I think. I don't know. I thought it looked like we just sort of gave up at that point with Rodgers. People saying, "Oh, he's showing the board." Something. I mean, you've got Dermot's phone number in your phone. Phone him and do your displeasure. Don't show the board by, punish fans by throwing on a couple of guys or you got us in that position as well. How thin bare the squad was. You'd seen everybody for a year. I'd wished he'd have recruited more players in the summer, or at least got rid of some of the ones that were those Mark Lowell rejects out of that Lowell summer that we had, where we brought in and the Koreans and Odin, and almost all of the players have proved to be absolute shambles. I think the only one that came in was Kuhn, but going back to guys like Tilo and and stuff like that, what an absolute shambles that is. And it still doesn't look like we have any recruitment list. Everything, like when Kyogo leaves and stuff, everything seems to be a shock to our team. It's like, all right, well, wait a minute, does the sales no talk to the guys that like incoming, no talk to outgoing in this club? Because everybody seemed to know he was going.
Yep.
But didn't click to anybody, we should have maybe another striker on hand. It's so frustrating when you turn on the YouTube or that and the Twitter, and it's like Celtic are opening talks, for Kvistgaarden, where everybody's been talking about this player on Celtic lists and podcasts and message boards and all that for well over a year. So we've known that this guy's available, and we've watched his stock rise as well too. And I was like, he's out of our price range now. I don't know. There has to be something. It's a weird week for me watching Celtic. Like I'm Jota coming back, absolutely buzzing. Kyogo, I don't see the point of selling your top striker before a Champions League game. I think the urgency to get that done, especially when they had a manager that was leaving.
Yeah, he's been sacked now. Yeah.
And that was it, because that looked like our board was on a cash grab on that one. That could have been handled much, much better, so that we did have another striker, that we didn't have to bring on a Daniel Cummings or something like that, because I think Kyogo would have given Aston Villa fits. And I don't know, it's a mixture of bad from our club, bad from Kyogo's management team. I mean, he's went to a team like Rennes, which is relegation fodder. Doesn't seem to have any savvy to that move whatsoever for any of the parties. But that just sort of describes what we're like, as a boardroom behind the scenes. I mean, Christ, if anything needs a shake-up, our defence and our boardroom, maybe we could swap the two of them. I'm fully convinced Greg Taylor's going to end up in the boardroom.
Somebody said earlier on, Greg Taylor back as a consultant. I saw that in the chat earlier on.
Or bring him to be organising the defence, the
name that is doing the rounds, obviously, the most with the striker thing is obviously Kvistgaarden. That is the one that keeps coming up. It seems to gain traction. You're saying there, that he might be out of our price range, but again, they're talking about 10 million at least. And it's like, well, if we want to be a big club and we want to behave like one, then again, go and pay it if that's what they want. I mean, I saw today the Brøndby's Twitter account put out, because they're playing their pre-season just now, because Denmark play their league from March to November, so they were playing a friendly in the south of Portugal today, and Kvistgaarden scored a goal, and they put a wee tweet out there of his goal, and it's like they know what they're doing, because he's a hot topic right now. So one would say, hopefully, we're not getting led up the Kvistgaarden path on this one, Liam. And yeah, hopefully there is something, because I mean that's a statement to me. You let Kyogo go and say that's fine. Kyogo wanted to go. Remember that's one of the things that a lot of fans I've noticed online are finding very hard to believe. And it's like Kyogo's too nice a guy. I can't believe that Kyogo would want to leave. But Brendan Rodgers said for the last few months, again, think about it. Changed his agent in the summer. No smoke without fire, if you ask me on that one. the boy wanted to move on. Celtic obviously moves quickly to get it done. But yeah, they do seem to be dragging their heels a little bit, unless they've got some whopper of a move lined up. Again, we'll wait and see. But yeah, we definitely do need another striker. I mean, it's great that Adam Ida, what he did on Wednesday night, and he showed that sort of like, penalty box striker instinct. And it's like, that's what we want. That's the type of thing we want to see. But he can't do it all himself, and he is going to need some help there. Obviously, you've got Maeda's going to be an option as well, I suppose, through the middle, but I much prefer Maeda out wide. But with Jota coming back, you are right to highlight that as well. That is obviously exciting. But again, he's a winger. Maeda, better on the wing. Kuhn. So it's like, it's good headaches for Brendan to have. But the striker option, we definitely need to be looking at another number 9. But Brendan did say in his presser today when he was asked about, he also kept it very coy and very cryptic, but he just said that we aim to come out of this window stronger. And then later on, he got asked something again about a player, and he says, I'll just repeat myself. Our aim is to come out of this window stronger. So they're obviously making some kind of moves. Let's see if they get them through over the line, though.
I heard him say that. I heard him use that word, a hope to come out. It's like, fucking hell, you're getting paid the biggest bucks in Scotland, mate. You got to have better something than hope. At this point, where's your influence? And I think that's what really annoys me about Rodgers. And, in these press conferences are all like, subtle digs at fans and stuff like that now and again. But my God, I mean, I don't expect him to come out guns blazing with the board. But if you're not getting the players you're wanting, say it. If you're comfortable with the players we've got and you think you're building something there, say that as well, because I'd like to challenge that. And then maybe, I think we got so many people in the Celtic, like this week alone, like, after that game, the amount of vitriol that's going on in X and, even the message boards, the WhatsApp group and everything, it's like anybody dares to question Rodgers. You get hit with how many trophies he's won, how far we are in the league and all that stuff. But I see that as him being part of the recruitment. And I think, yeah, that's great. We are there at this point. And people are saying, oh, just wait and see and all that. We said that in the last window, and then it was like all this outrage after the window slammed shut and we hadn't signed a replacement for X or hadn't done this. I mean, this team really drags their heels, and we get so many fans that just fall into it. And what's wrong with demanding the best? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with having standards that excel? Well, that basically match our wages and the budget, the amount of money that Celtic fans put into Celtic. A lot of these players like Jota and stuff like that shows you they can't do it in other places. That there's something about the Celtic support and the Celtic fan base that make some players better. Guys like Mikael Lustig, Henrik Larsson. Henrik did it everywhere, but not to the extent he did it when he came to Celtic. Chris Sutton, completely revitalised a career, coming to Celtic. There's certain people that engage and feed off the fans. And that's not the fans. That's not the board providing anything. That is the atmosphere and the sort of reciprocal, relationship that we sort of, enter into when when we start idolising players. It's a two-way thing. You have to perform. And that same goes with our manager as well. And I think our manager is letting us down a bit. I know I'm not reading the comments today, so blast away if you want. But I think it's just, I just feel like it's deja vu all over again, where we're just sitting here and I'm watching the same end to another transfer window where I've absolutely no faith in our recruitment staff that they are actually working behind the scenes. I mean, I would not surprise it. Well, we tried to get it done this weekend, but Michael doesn't work weekends, There was a big tournament club, and we tried to get it done Monday morning, but the fax machine was broken till 11. Guy got in. That's the sort of shite that we put up with fans from this legacy board that we've inherited that seems to be at a longer duration than the Whites of the Kellys at this point.
Aye. There's a few of them have been around since. Well, Peter Lawwell's definitely been around since the 90s. So yeah. He went away for a while and then came back when everything was hunky dory again. Ian McIntosh going to say, don't rule out any last minute transfer activity.
Hope so.
I mean, I hope there is, but I really don't want to be sitting at midnight on a Monday. Like, Jesus Christ, I've got work in the morning. Come on. But yeah, it's like it's just the way it is with Celtic. I know we're used to it now. You know, the last day, it's like, could we not just get our business done right away? We knew what we had to do, but nevertheless. But some good news though on the transfer front. Lewis Palmer's leaving, mate. Past his medical's booked. He's off to Olympiacos on a loan to the end of the season, hopefully with an option to buy, an obligation to buy, please. Because, yeah, it's just not worked out for Lewis Palmer. I think the first half of his first season, there was obviously some signs there that, okay, we've got something. He's got a bit of creativity. He can shoot from distance. That's always helpful. But then that double penalty miss against Ross County happened at the start of 2024. And ever since then, it's just been a very slippery slope, very slippery, and he's just never ever really recovered. And he's so far down the pecking order, it's just not worked out. And yeah, he heads off, it looks like, to Olympiacos. So at least we're good at getting players out, as you always say, Liam, but bringing them in, it's always a wee bit more of a complication there. But yeah, it looks like Palmer's race is now run. I don't think we're shedding many tears there, are we, Liam?
You know what? I think Palmer will do well at Olympiacos. We got him for Greece. I think it was Arias or something like that. He was with. I think some players just don't like the cold, you know, and especially get Latin type players. I know you can say this case like Izagiri and all that came for the same sort of place, but yeah, you know, I used to play, when I played football, I played with a lot of Jamaican guys and all that. And you know, Canada, you know, we would have cup games in that in November, late October. You know, you start training in March, outdoors and all that, and they did not want to know. You know, you couldn't blame them. But my God, it was the same with us. You get to a game in the middle of the summer in Toronto and all that, you know, if it's a afternoon kickoff, sun's in the sky, it's like 90 degrees. These guys are warming up with tracksuits on. Scottish guys are just dripping in sweat and that already. And you could just tell you play a completely different game. They enjoy playing in that heat, whereas I always enjoyed playing in the cold. Like, you know, I loved a wet rainy night to play football on. And so I think I imagine even as professional football players, some people that just don't get over that. You know, don't have it in their DNA to be able to handle cold. You know.
Aye, well, he's heading back to a nice warmer climate in Greece, and Graham Tyrrell caps it off nicely. Palmer, a flair player, plays like he got hit on the head with a flair. Yes, thank you for that, Graham. Thank you for the flair klaxon tonight. So thanks for that one, Graham. Okay, so before we go to the Motherwell game, there's one player I want to talk about first specifically. It'll be Callum McGregor's 500th game for the club this weekend. Liam, 500 games. It feels like yesterday he was making his debut for the club, an away game in Europe against Icelandic side Reykjavik, I think it was, under Ronnie Dyle at the start of the 2014-15 season. He'd been out on loan at Notts County, playing alongside Jack Grealish, as we've heard many times. Comes back, he's in the starting lineup for that game in Reykjavik. He scores the only goal. And then the next month, as we navigate our way through the qualifiers, he scored away in Warsaw. He scored away against the Slovenian team that we played who beat us. Was it Maribor? He scored there, and yeah, he exploded on the scene. And then kind of petered out a wee bit in the Ronnie era, as most players did, to be fair. The Ronnie era started not too bad, but the second season under Ronnie was tough. It was a tough one to sit through. But then Brendan Rodgers 1.0 happened, and the Callum McGregor that we've got now pretty much came from that era. What we have now, you know, that was he just came on leaps and bounds under Brendan, playing alongside Scott Brown at the base of that midfield, learned a lot from him, and here we are, mate, 500 games. Calmac, 500 not out. Where do you even begin? What can you even begin to say about Callum McGregor, mate?
I mean, it's, you know, I think he's always held himself up well in that. I think when Callum McGregor plays really well, the team plays really well. I don't know. I think we're looking at him. 500 games just sorts of puts an exclamation mark on how long he's been around at Celtic, and it's like, okay, so well, it answers the question. So I think he's had a great career. I think he's played brilliant. I think when he came, I remember being in the chats and all that when he was scoring goals at Notts County, and everybody was really aware of him, and he was on the radar, and we were struggling. So, like, you know, get him back, and this was going to be our next striker. His transition to midfield, you know, playing that 8 row or behind the forwards, where he was chipping in with a lot more goals as well. I thought he excelled at that.
Yeah.
No, I think he's one of these players that plays on a rhythm and an engine, and when the team's moving about him and he's got everybody and he's not having to compensate and he just have to play his own game, that's where you see him playing really, really well. Always loved him. There's been certain games against Rangers where I think he really pushed the team on to like a different level in that. And then when he doesn't play well, my God, you can see it as well. It affects the whole team. So for somebody that's such an important player for us as well, I'd like to see what the plan is now that we're 500 games into Callum McGregor. So what are we doing? Are we waiting until he announces his retirement? Are we going to actively try and replace Callum McGregor? And and there we have that whole Scottish identity thing and all that, and the home trained players and all that we need and stuff. So like you'd be losing 2 players in that position because he's Scottish and that. And I really wish we have an identified up and coming youngster, and maybe it's Big Ingles, that's going to sweep into that position. I thought that game where we sat Callum, we actually played really well. But I mean, Callum McGregor, 500 games for Celtic. Greg Taylor's had 200 games for Celtic. I mean,
well, see, when you think about it, we talk about Callum McGregor, right? In terms of the number of games he plays, the Duracell bunny, he just keeps going and going. So if he's been in the Celtic first team since 2014, and obviously we've just finished 2024-25, so you're talking 10 and a bit years. You're looking on average, he's played about 50 games a calendar year. We talked about there was a period a few years ago where he played more games than any professional footballer in Europe in a calendar year. It was like 60-something games. And we were worried that these things will catch up to him eventually. And we have started to see in the last year or so a few more longer term injuries and whatnot. Now, in terms of his position, I say it could be Arnie Engels. It could be something like that. Luke McCown, people have talked about. Luke McCown coming in, he's very similar. However, when it comes to the club captaincy, I think the next club captain is walking in the door this summer. It's Kieran Tierney all day, every day. Because Kieran Tierney even got the armband a couple of times when Scott Brown was captain and wasn't playing. They gave it to Kieran Tierney when he was a teenager. When he was in his early 20s, he was wearing the captain's armband. To me, he is the next Celtic club captain, and he's walking in the summer. Because I know that I've seen other pods, still fans talking about Alistair Johnson. He'll be the next club captain, and I'm like, no. But now that Kieran Tierney's coming back, that's the next Celtic club captain. So he was wearing the armband from time to time when Bruni was injured previously. So to me, it's like this boy is Celtic through and through. So that to me is the next club captain. But in terms of his position, still up in the air. But I don't want us to get to the stage that happened to Scott Brown in the much maligned COVID season where we were playing him because he was the club captain and it was clearly obvious that he was past it. If Callum McGregor gets to a point where he cannot play that many games, there's nothing wrong with rotating him in and out. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but it just feels like if you're the club captain, it's like can't be dropped, and it's like we need to box, clever here at times. We cannot run him into the ground. Say there was a period where he could play like 60 games in a calendar year. But in the last couple of years, we're now seeing more injuries catch up with him. So we don't want it to the point where, he's crocked all the time. We need to manage him carefully. He's at a stage now in his career. He's retired from international football to benefit his career with Celtic. So he's took that out of his game. So it's like we need to obviously, manage him very, very carefully. But in terms of his best moments and whatnot, I mean, there's so many good ones. Some of the goals that he scored from distance, particularly just this season alone, against Hibs, against Rangers. He just pinging them in from distance. And it's like, we so need midfielders to do that more often. And this season, he's took it upon himself to actually start doing that. And it's like, yes, we've needed that so much.
I think he needs to bring the mask back. I think when he played with that mask, he was absolutely brilliant. He was a bit more menacing and all that, a bit doing the Vatman voice when he's going into his scrums. I think we need to get that back. Get the mask back on him. He's,
I loved his goal against Motherwell in the cup final, the one that we got the double treble. Now, the many trebles that we won, it was a double treble. The goal that he scored against Motherwell that day was phenomenal. The Cham scored the other goal, but he just pinged it in from outside the area. the game at Ibrox when we beat them 5-1, just the way he passed it into the net from the edge of the area, and also the Scottish Cup game, I think, was the week before the semi-final, where again he passed it into the net at Hampden. Dembele chests it down edge of the area, lays it into his path, doesn't need to break his stride, and he just passes it into the back. And it's one of these things, because it was down at the Rangers end, it's that click at the back of the net, just the stanchion behind the goal, the way the noise that echoes around the stadium, and then you just hear the roar for the Celtic end. Oh, it was a phenomenal moment. That just how easy it was for him just to just pass it by. I think it would be fordering him in goals at that point. But yeah, he has came up with a few belters against the Rangers, and also our next opponents in the Champions League that night. I know we lost on the night, but see when he scored that equaliser against Bayern Munich, the noise at Celtic Park, it was biblical. It was ground shaking, that one, because I remember that game so vividly. We'd started the game pretty poorly. We'd lost a sloppy goal, but it was one of those ones where the momentum was building, and it was building, and you felt like we're going to score. We're definitely going to score. And James Forrest went on this mazy run, and just a typical James Forrest pass outside of the foot, right into McGregor's path, and he scores. And the noise, and actually the one against Zenit St. Petersburg as well. Remember that? The volley at the back post. Oh man, yeah. Fantastic goals, man. Fantastic moments.
Yeah, I mean he's got some highlight reel to him as well. But I think sometimes you have to be bad to be good. I mean, we're very sentimental as a club. I think we've got to be a little less about that and more about our players and that right now. It's no good if you just keep moving everybody around the one guy and all that as well. And also we talk about being motivated to play in position. I know he's the captain and all that as well, but you do need better players chasing you. Otherwise there's just a complacency that sets in, and there's times where when we drop points, it's because we look very complacent,
Yeah. Game Tyrrell, does Callum get a gold watch from Desmond for 500? Maybe. I'm sure he can afford that. A wee gold Rolex, why not? Monty, though, saying it brilliantly. Calmac has not lost a single cup final in his career. That is quite an incredible stat. Yeah, he's not lost any cup finals that he's played in. So, yeah, undefeated in cup. He's invincible in cup finals, mate. Hampden is his playground. So, yeah, hopefully we've got another one at the end of the season. Hopefully we've got another one coming at the end. So, yeah, another one he can add to his list. But yeah, he's been a fantastic player for us. But yeah, going forward, he has to be managed carefully, because we don't want a Scott Brown scenario where he's 36, 37 or whatever it is, and still getting a game week in, week out, and it's a bit detrimental. He's going to need, definitely a bit of contingency planning. Celtic is definitely required. But yeah, it'll be his 500 game on Sunday. But you know who will be making his second debut, it looks like, because Brendan confirmed he'll be in the squad anyway, so we'd expect to be on the bench. Jota, he's back. Since last week, he's officially signed, and yeah, he'll be in the squad. Guys, Maeda will be available again after his European suspension. So we'll have Maeda, Kuhn probably starting, and I imagine Jota off the bench. He'll get a hero's reception, no doubt about it. But yeah, I'm excited to see Jota. I know there's a lot of questions over, are we getting the same player back? What exactly went wrong in the last 18 months? I know there's a lot of those questions, but I think he'll hit the ground running. I think it'll maybe take a couple of weeks, but I think, the boy's fit in terms of physicality, physically fit. He's obviously that. It's just match fitness is going to maybe take a bit longer. But as it stands right now, with the Bayern Munich game coming up, Maeda's suspended for that as well. So he's going to have to be ready for Bayern Munich in 2 weeks' time, it seems. We're going to just have to get him playing there. But next couple of weeks, hopefully he can get into this, get onto the park, get a bit of a feel for it. Ease his way back in, but generally ecstatic to see him back. Was gutted to see him go. Wanted to see how he would cope under Brendan Rodgers, how he would work with him. I'd imagine him and Brendan would get on pretty well. He would develop him really well. So he's back now for a second run at it, and I'm looking forward to seeing Jota 2.0, mate.
He looked a wee bit thin coming back, like he'd lost a wee bit of weight and that, a bit of mass. So I need to get him down to the Blue Lagoon, get a couple of iron brews, fish suppers in him, help him out. He's a traditionalist like the rest of us. He likes a good schemy pub. Might go up unannounced in places. So if anybody sees him out the tune, get some scran in him. That boy needs to bulk up a bit to start being back to the Jota he is. Yeah, the only time you're going to get game time is to play him game time. If he's fit and he needs to work it out, yeah, let's get him in. It's not like we're throwing on Yang there, where he's just going to be. We know that Jota has a set of skills that he can use and how that's going to work. So, if there's no about fitness and it's about game time, game time. That's the solution. So you need Rodgers to just sort of, bite that. I would rather see Jota making a couple of mistakes, but knowing that he's going to develop into the Jota we know, than persisting with Yang or, in the former case, Palmer and that as well, because I've seen everything I need to see now about Yang that just tells me he shouldn't be anywhere near this team. That whole side, he's going to bring a bit of dynamism to that side as well too, which I think will be good. I remember he was particularly good at tracking back. He was a very disciplined player, so I think Rodgers will like that as well.
Yeah.
That, when he's got a role, he will come back. But then again, Rodgers seems to like Yang, and Yang is naked for defensive responsibilities, neither is Palmer, and they both got a game. So interesting to see how Rodgers is going to work this one out. And a big second half of the season for our manager here.
I think once James Forrest is available, I think Yang will definitely be pushed down into fifth, sixth choice. Who even knows, because he's only been getting game time, I think, because he's just literally been what's been available to him. With Palmer, he's been so far off it. Even though Palmer's numbers are much better than Yang, Brendan, when it came to having a choice, it's usually Yang that was getting the nod. But yeah, when you're looking at now, let's say when James Forrest is fit, you've got Kun, Maeda, Jota, then probably Forrest falls in after that, and then it would be Yang. Palmer's obviously off ski now, so yeah, I would expect to see very, very little of Yang going forward for the rest of the season. But unless injuries set in, which hopefully they don't, hopefully we do not have many more injury problems in that area. But yeah, I would expect not to see much more of Yang, but fingers crossed on that one. But in terms of the team, Brendan confirmed CCV's fit and ready to go. Hopefully we can keep him.
Phil, there was talk about Kasper Schmeichel missing training.
He's okay. He's actually fine. Yeah, he was asked about that at his presser today, and Brendan just went, he's just getting a bit older now, need to just, nurture him a wee bit better. Just mollycoddle him a wee bit, take a couple extra days off. So it was just a day off extra he got just to keep him.
He took a couple of cans off his body, the way he comes out and his wingspan is down. Yeah, but
just his that, yeah.
And the way he just he smashes his balls away like his arms must be black and blue. He was launching them.
Did you see him doing the backstroke for the fourth goal? Did you see him flailing around trying to desperately stop the fourth goal? Huh? I didn't notice at the time, but I've seen obviously the clips doing around on Twitter. And if you can't laugh at yourself, what chance have you got? I genuinely did get a bit of chuckle out of it. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, that's the state yet. Whatever, man. But yeah, he was flailing around on the floor trying to get in front of Rodgers before he slotted into the net for his hat trick. But yeah, he's available. Brendan just said he had an extra day off. In fairness, our keepers tend to not have much to do in domestic games. It's quite quiet. It could be a quiet day for them sometimes. So, yeah, as long as he's alert when that one or two chances fall the other team's way, as long as he's alert for that, and he's shown that even at his ripe old age of 38, 39 now, whatever he is, he's still got it. Obviously signed a new deal recently as well. He's staying on for another year. But yeah, I did see the story that he wasn't in training today before the presser. And I was thinking about Terry's words about Sinisola and saying, one day we're going to need this guy and I want to see what he's all about. And I was like, shit, it's coming. This Sunday he's going to have to be thrown in there at the deep end. But no, Brendan did confirm that that Schmeichel is good to go. And I say CCV's back. But again, with CCV, people said the chat earlier on, is CCV now going to miss the away game in Munich? The way things are going with him, you get 3 games and he's away for 2, and then he's back for 3 or 4, then he's out for 2 more. And the problem is, Liam, we've got so many games at the moment where it's weekend, midweek, weekend. But I mean, this coming, we play Sunday, Motherwell, then we play Dundee, and then we've got Raith Rovers in the Cup at the weekend, next weekend, and then it's Bayern Munich. And then I think it's Dundee United at home after that. And then I think it might be the Bayern Munich second leg, or they've got another midweek game coming up. I know that we've got Aberdeen in a midweek coming up in February as well. And it's just relentless. And I know Brendan spoke about this recently, about the winter break getting taken away. this is the repercussions of the winter break getting taken away. There's just so many games getting crammed in right now. And it's like every 3 days. And for CCV, who clearly, as good as he is, and he's absolutely phenomenal, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's not good, but he's not good to us if this is the pattern of injury that he's going to have all the time, but he can't play too many games in a short period. But right now, unfortunately, we're victim of circumstance right now, where all we've got is games every 3 days right now, Liam.
I mean, rewind this podcast back 2 years, and as much as everybody loved, Cameron Carter-Vickers, everybody's going, what? 5-year contract? Not knowing that he's got injuries and stuff like that. I'm hoping this is something that's just a blip. Like he's playing through something that's just sort of niggling and all that. But it's weird when you get those football players that have weird sort of body shapes. Like he always looks kind of heavier than he probably actually is. I'm sure if you've seen him walking down the street in a pub, he'd look like a proper specimen and all that. But when you see him next to other football players and all that, he does look a bit bulky and hippie. I mean, McGregor is the same sort of frame and build as well too. And you just wonder how much that toll that takes on your body, and how much, if he is trying to play through the pain barrier and stuff, and how that must be hard. So, I think it's good to see him back. I don't know. Is it one of these things where it is rest? I mean, I guess it's their sports science team maybe that called that last game as well, and they're the ones that are trying to do it. I mean, he might be able to play through the pain, and it depends. just like the problems across the street. The sports science might be the ones making all this call.
Yeah.
But in the weekend, I fully to see it. Say, our two Americans, or soon to be American, if Trump gets his way and Canada becomes 50th state.
Oh God! I just thought as well. By the way, Bayern Munich coming to town. Another Canadian, Alphonso Davies, will be in town.
Well, that's going to match up as well too, because I think Alphonso Davies up against.
It'll be because he's left-sided and Alistair Johnston's the right side, so they'll be going at each other. Right? Interesting. Okay.
He is absolutely rapid, and he'll be pushing himself inside, and he'll be dragging Kuhn and Johnson all over the place. So Kuhn's going to have his boots on that day to sort of mark and track him if he's coming in as the overlapping guy, because I think it will be a fun matchup against they two, because they're the friends off the park and teammates, in Canada, and that's a really, really tight Canada team. And I think Johnson and Davies were two of the player reps as well, so they're very popular within that team. So they spend a lot of time together, and that, because we had like a huge thing about the Canadian national team, and they were going on strike and all that sort of, and Johnson and Davies were the two of the main guys that were involved in all that, the negotiations and stuff. So, anytime you're up against somebody and really well, you're going to try and exploit him as much as you can. And I think Davies is much more to exploit than the other way around.
Yeah.
Johnson's not going to be running at Davies, and Davies is not going to be fearful with Johnson running at him.
No, definitely not.
Here in Vancouver, 16-year-old. He was getting man of the match, and they couldn't give it to him because he was under drinking age, because it was sponsored by a beer company. And so they'd have to exclude him and give it to somebody else, because you couldn't hand him over a bottle of booze like what they do with the Scottish players.
Okay. Oh, well, funny enough, a minute ago as well, talk about Canada thing, smell the glove. I'll have to change my intro for you. If Donald Trump gets his way, it'll be USA's favourite Tim. The wise man of the bus, Liam, the punk duck wall, Lord Greenlaw, and San Fran Celtic says, welcome aboard, Liam. So there you go. You're getting embraced already, mate. There you go. So if Justin Trudeau hands over the rights to Canada, then you're being welcomed already, mate. You're already America's favourite Tim.
All right with that. I loved it in America. I loved it.
You did, down in LA and stuff like that. So yeah, you've seen a lot of the big cities. But before we go,
lived there for a wee bit.
Oh, nice, jealous, mate. Jealous fan. Seeing all the sights. But yeah, before we head off, we'll do a bit of housekeeping before we go, to get our predictions in. But obviously, at the start of the show, I did the old brain teaser. Who is the mystery player hidden behind the Boise Bus logo? So tonight's hidden player, he only had a 4-club career, and it was Celtic, Middlesbrough, Bristol City, and our opponents on Sunday, Motherwell. So Liam, any idea who the mystery man is?
I'm thinking that's Big McManus, isn't it?
Is Steve McManus a former club captain? We'll talk about club captaincy tonight as well. A former club captain, Stephen McManus. A curious one to say the least, because when Neil Lennon retired for playing in 2007, it was McManus that got the club captaincy from Gordon Strachan, and it was like, I didn't see that one coming. McManus, in terms of memories, I think the one that always stands out is going to be the double against Hearts, where we were 2-0 down. Got it back to 2-1. We're still trailing with about 4 minutes left in the clock, and then he scores 2 goals in the last minute. 2 headers. It was a header and one where he just scuffed it into the net in stoppage time to beat them 3-2. I always remember that with him. And, of course, his partnership alongside one Gary Caldwell. We all remember that as well, don't we, Liam?
I mean, the Heat. I still remember that game. I think it was Benfica or Sport. It was Benfica, I think, where he scored not 1 but 2 spectacular own goals.
Yeah.
McManus, I always had a soft spot for McManus. I thought he played really well and all that, and it was weird. We had a purge of players going to Middlesbrough at the time, right? Because I think that was
Gordon Strachan took them all.
Strachan took him there, and he took Scott McDonald, and there's a number of players that have went from
Barry Robson went. Willow Flood surprisingly was one of them as well. Willow Flood.
Barry Robinson, when he left Vancouver, he went to. I mean, so same way Stuart Armstrong, right? The family can't settle in Vancouver, so where do you go back? By the way, Vancouver is one of the most gorgeous cities in the absolute world. If you've got money here, you've got no problems in life. You've got a brilliant life. Not be able to set in Vancouver and then drag the family in his case to Middlesbrough, and then Stuart Armstrong just left here and he's going to Sheffield. You've got different aesthetic points of view than I do.
Do you know what, he was always good for, though, McManus, as well? Because during the Strachan era, we seemed to have an absolute plethora of games where we'd be losing 1-0, we'd come back and win 2-1, and McManus usually got a goal. I remember my mate, we beat AC Milan in the Champions League 2-1, and one of his fines was always to go to the bookies for the game and put 2-1, McManus first scorer. And that one came in that night, and he made a shit ton of money that night because McManus bundled one in at a corner, 1-0 up, first scorer, then go on and win the game 2-1. McDonald scores. That's the thing, like, he was quite a basic centre back, but I didn't think he was terrible. He was just no flash really about him. But you know, I always compared to him and Caldwell, I'd always feel safer with McManus to Caldwell, to be honest. But yeah, he's one of our own. He came through the youth ranks. He's one of the ones that made it from Lennoxtown, essentially, from the youth academy. And yeah, I'd say it was an interesting choice at the time for the club captain when he took over from Lenny. But yeah, Strachan obviously loved him and took him down to Middlesbrough with him as well. And I say he was always good for a set piece, something that we can always do with these days. Liam is someday at a set piece. And as Graham Tyrrell points out there, he's still at the club too, because he is one of the coaches of the youth team, the B team that we always talk about, him and Darren Adee. And did Johnny Hayes not get a gig as well at the start of the season? He did. I thought that.
Under 16s. I mean, I think a lot of that's, you know, it's not surprising the Ross Strachan type players that are all managing the B teams and the youths and stuff like that, you know, predominantly Strachan players. You know, I think that was part of his big retrofit. I mean, that's the other thing. We keep going on about the Lyles, but I think we still get 3 Strachans on the payroll as well.
Yeah, true. Yeah. That's true.
That's something I'd like to see with Celtic, you know, with Rodgers. I'm surprised that he's not brought in, you know, after 2 years now, not brought in any changes to the coaching staff whatsoever. I think right now, you know, Stevie Woods, he's always going to be there as long as he wants to be there. He's got a pedigree that goalkeepers will tell you right away, yeah, he's one of the best they've ever worked with. That's fantastic. People are saying that about John Kennedy and stuff like that, but it doesn't show in the park. It doesn't show in the park when it comes to positioning. It doesn't show in the park when it comes to taking advantage of scoring in corners. It's happened a wee bit more this year, earlier on, but we're still not getting our defenders attacking corners and all that properly and defending corners and all that. So, I mean, it'd be nice for Rodgers to, bring in like a Yaya Toure or something again, somebody that's defended at the very high level that can get some of our position and spatial awareness. So, it's one of my biggest problems with Greg Taylor is he never knows what man he should be marking. He leaves so much space. That's what's makes you want to pull your hair out. But
well, you're talking about set pieces there, and talking about trying improve them, make my friend. One more McManus memory was a Scotland one, and it was when Craig Levein was a Scotland manager, and we beat Liechtenstein, I want to say, like one of the middle nations, with a 97th minute win on. McManus scored it, and I've never seen a guy and Craig Levein so relieved that because he was getting sacked if we'd drawn that game. I think it was Liechtenstein or Luxembourg. It was one of the middle nations. I know Luxembourg have improved a wee bit now, but back then in like 2008 or whatever, they were dreadful. But we were losing to them, and we beat them 2-1 in the end. But McManus scored like a 97th minute one at Hampden, and it cut to Craig Levein celebrating on the bench. And I've never seen a man just exhale so much pressure, just like he looked so relieved because he knew if he did not get a result against bloody Liechtenstein or whatever, then it was curtains for him. But he did, of course, get his Jotas eventually. But yeah, before we go then, predictions for the game on Sunday against Motherwell. How do you think it'll play out, Liam?
What are we playing? Are we playing at home?
We are away. We're at Fir Park.
We're away?
Yes.
My predictions. Right, so first of all, I'm going to be watching Muller again.
Oh, yeah.
I always want to have an opportunity to see what this boy has and see what he's like. He's never really stood out against us yet, where it's like, oh my God, how we know signing him. Like when we were getting Scott Brown, and there was rumours of that when he was at Hibs, and he turned up his game against Celtic. He was belligerent. He was everything. And that was him, joining the club and scored a worldie as well. I'm thinking 3-0. I always go for 3-0 because when we're on form, that's where it should have. But I'm not singling out Greg Taylor anymore. I'm just.
Well, a few people in the chat, by the way, are saying that Lennon Miller is injured for this game, so we won't you worry about him. We may not need to worry at all. Apparently, he's got an injury. So, was he also his managerless Motherwell as well? Stevie Frail will be the caretaker manager. I mean, I did not realise the reason why Stuart Kettlewell left. I could not believe this when I heard this, that he was getting abuse from Motherwell fans, and his family were getting abuse. Right. And then my dad told me Motherwell are 5th in the league, and I was like, 5th? And he's getting abuse for getting Motherwell up to 5th place. And I was like, well, where did this entitlement come from Motherwell? Like, what? So I was actually shocked to hear that was the reason why he left. I was like, that's abysmal, man. I mean, he's got them up to mid-table, 5th now. It's like, how the hell is he getting abused? Like, that's good for their standards. But anyway, that's also big. Stevie Frail will be in the dugout, so it's managerless Motherwell. So there's no new manager bounce technically to worry about. Fingers crossed, there's nothing there that they put on a performance on Sunday. But yeah, I will say there'll be 2-0 to Celtic. I think we'll get the job done. And Jota to make an appearance in the second half. Maybe even he'll nick a goal. Who knows? But it'll just be good to see him back on the park. But yeah, I say we'll win 2-0. We might need to, maybe one of those games where we need to wait a little bit for the first goal, but we'll get the job done. Because at this stage, a good performance is obviously great, but just to get the points is all that matters at this stage. It's just about getting the points on the board, keeping the noisy neighbours very much at arm's length, which they currently are. But yeah, we've got the game in hand on Wednesday, so we win tomorrow. We win that on Wednesday against Dundee, and that puts us back to 13 points at the very least, unless Rangers drop points as well at the weekend, but we'll wait and see on that one. But yeah, we can get back to 13 points next midweek. But yeah, we're finished up for another Friday evening. It's been another fun one. An hour and 19 minutes has flew in. So yeah, look out for PMP on Sunday. Russell and Terry will be along for that one. So again, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. You'll know when the bus is on Sunday. And yeah, we'll be back again next Friday for another Friday feeling. And all the usual shows will be around as well through the week. There'll be a PMP midweek, a Tuesday ticket to wrap up the transfer window. There might be a Monday club as well. I know Mark's been taking over the Monday club recently, but given the transfer window closes at midnight, 11 o'clock, and Mark's usually in his bed by a lot earlier than that. I don't know if he'll fancy doing a Monday club very, very late towards the window, because, hey, you've got to stay up to the last minute just in case something happens, Don't go to bed just yet, Celts. So yeah, all that's still to come anyway. We'll see how Monday pans out and what players do rock up at Celtic Park. Hopefully we get the necessary improvements. And yeah, then it's all guns blazing, all heading towards, all roads lead to Munich pretty much in the next couple of weeks. So you've got that one coming over the hill. So yeah, it's a busy time for Celtic. It's a busy time for the bus. So thanks everyone again for watching. Again, I know Friday nights can be a very busy night in terms of Celtic podcasts that are on. So thanks again for choosing us. There's over 100 been watching consistently all night. We're 116 just now. Hit the like button on the way out though, folks. Hell, do that. Do the very least for me and Liam. Hit the like button. And yeah, we shall see you on the next one, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later.